Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to Monday. You made it through the weekend. How awesome. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day, new week, new beginnings. Yay. And of course, we are going to be talking about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell today. So, yeah, grab your tea and your chai and put your feet up. Let's hang out for a bit and see what this is all about. However, before we do so, we have announcements for the week. We have a busy week, which I am always enjoying. So let me just bring that up on the screen. Yes, okay. So tonight, obviously, we have Beverli. Tomorrow night we have Solutions with Chanti, yes. Spiritual Forensics, again with Beverli. We just finalizing what we're going to be doing tomorrow. So, but join us on Solutions with Chanti. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please pop along to our baby sister channel where we do all the amazing healing stuff and the Ankara field stuff. Yeah, we're next door there. So join the channel and where we do with Beverli, we're doing the Ankara field mini series as well, as you can see, explaining what the Ankara field is. And then, of course, tomorrow on Aquarius Rising Africa, Jamie J. Great conversation with Jamie again, so join that. Really insightful information. Jesse, double trouble with Jesse. Double trouble with Jesse on Wednesday, as always. Yes, Dr. Dennis on Thursday, and drop in with Chanti on Friday with Solutions and Error, and that's where I just see what's popped into my inbox or seen what's popped in on my screen during the week, and we'll just do a commentary on that. This past week, if you haven't missed that, you should catch that. Spoke about Alcatraz on the moon. These guys that literally escaped from, well, they did not escape from Alcatraz. They disappeared from Alcatraz. And then they end up being the first guys supposedly landing on the moon. Excuse me. Buzz Aldrin and the boys. But anyway, turns out that they were prisoners from Alcatraz. Very interesting. And then, of course, we speak about Kazakhstan, the movie Borat, and what they're really trying to hide with the movie Borat. So super interesting. Join that if you can. And then, yes, so Friday again. And then we're going to be listening to part 2 of Anna Bartkova's story. She was the tennis player and obviously speaking about her journey of being trafficked, pretty much abused in the professional tennis arena. We've done the first interview, so tomorrow we'll be wrapping up her interview and just, seeing where Anna is after that. And then, of course, our favorite Italian, Leo Zagami, on Friday night, 7 o'clock Central Africa time. And then Saturday, catch Penny Bradley at 4 p.m. Central Africa time. You all know Penny Bradley is, wow, what an amazing survivor. Secret Space Program. Wow, a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you, she spent 25 years on Mars as a pilot for the Nachtwaffen, and explains, one of my first questions was, wow, you learned to do this like I learned to tie my shoes. But then explains also the DNA splicing that these kids are put through so that they can do these kind of I don't even know what to call it. I don't know, yeah. Anyway, catch that with Penny, an amazing show. And then, of course, Sunday Loop, where we rehum or we replay our older shows. Yay. So now that we have that spoken about, and without any further ado, hang on, let me just get myself sorted here. Everything is taking 3 seconds longer than what it does. Okay, so Taram, Beverli, Madame,
Hello.
how are you?
Hi.
Welcome.
Crazy days, crazy days. The energies that are building up right now. extremely high. So I
It's
think
wild,
it
right?
is wild.
Actually,
Yes.
it's such a fabulous time though, because you know the way I see this. It's we don't have a choice anymore to willy-nilly around. And it's not about the demons coming to catch us. It's about our own, where we are in the evolutionary cycle. It's our own spirit that will not actually, well, we've got to choose, right? So we really have to make a choice now, service to self or service to others. But service to others doesn't mean you have to be able to serve yourself as well, right? But not in the way that we're looking at the lower triad.
Mm.
So very interesting. Definitely, there's so much fear porn out there at the moment, so much gatekeeping. I'm so sick and tired of these gatekeepers, really. Um, and they can be told this, but they can't say that, and this is that, but oh, it's so top secret. What a load of nonsense. So,
True.
I mean, really, I mean, if we look at the chosen ones, there are no chosen ones. The chosen ones are when you choose to elevate your consciousness, then you're a chosen one. You choose yourself. And I also find that very interesting, by the way, talking about the 144,000, right? So it's like amazing in terms of when you're looking at the nadis. You get 72,000 nadis on the right and 72,000 nadis on the left. So that's the yin yang, the masculine feminine balance within you. So when those two energies have balanced and met and merged within you, that's the 144,000. It's meridians in your body that then elevate you to a higher level of consciousness. That's what it is. So it's not like people running, and there is that, of course, there is that. But when you are in a higher level of consciousness, that does not affect you, right? So, hello, Beverli. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Nice to be back. Been very interesting with all the energies right now. Oh my goodness me, it's brilliant.
Aren't they coming out of the woodwork, huh?
I'm just like, oh, it's one of those you just sit back and you think, whoa, here it goes. Hold on, it's going to be a very bumpy ride. Oh my goodness. And what's been great over the weekend is all those that have actually started to move upwards and realize that we're moving from this carbon body into a crystalline structure. And you can just see the pennies dropping here and dropping there. You think, oh, okay. Everybody's getting to realize this is where we're going, guys. And it's just so
Right.
nice to see. It's nice to see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But listen, we've actually been doing some cool things over on Solutions. So if you guys haven't joined there yet, please go check it out. Beverly and I were looking at the Menendez brothers the other day as well, their story. And before that, we were looking at Oscar and Reva, shining some spiritual truths on these dodgy things that have been going down. Enough already, we say, right?
Absolutely.
So today we are looking at Epstein. I mean, gosh, this whole I've got so Epstein. Okay, there's just so much.
Yeah,
And I think that it's like that name is. I mean, that name. Seriously, it's like Leo Zagami was talking about, what did he call it? The Epstein Franken or something.
Yeah.
And it really is Epstein. That man. It's the face. Like he's been made into such a icon in the dark world, but really his face hides so many monsters. He's the face of the monstrosity, of the real Franken monster.
Yeah.
Seriously. So
it was
in my opinion, Epstein is the diversion. So what are we being diverted from? Epstein diverted from everything else.
And it was just when I started having a look at him, because I've been looking at him for a couple of years now, ever since all the troubles happened. But I've always kind of I've always stayed up to where the belly button is, and I didn't want to go below the belly button. I was like, oh, yuck, yuck, yuck. But then this time I thought, oh, don't make me go there. But yeah, I thought this time I'm going to be brave over the weekend, and I'm going to go and have a look underneath the belly button. Oh my goodness me! It's like it was that whole area was like seriously deformed. I will never look at a boiled egg in the same way again. Seriously,
This is why I say it's hardly Epstein. I mean, he's hardly this Adonis, right?
oh Lord, no. And I just thought, oh, do I really, honestly, I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah. So I must admit that I used to like boiled eggs, but the ones in the jars over here in the UK, you get these big jars with all these pickled boiled eggs. They should just call it. They should just call it Epstein boiled eggs. It's pretty good. Yeah. Oh my goodness me.
No, but listen, do you remember Julia Bryant as well? Julia Bryant has been a guest on this channel, and she's a South African Epstein survivor, and she was saying, oh, okay. That's what I say. He's hardly the sex god. I mean, let's just not even for 1 second delude ourselves. The man is hardly attractive. So it's not him, he's just the face for all of these things,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Lisa, you don't insult things.
It would be nice to see what Julia, if Julia and I get together and have a conversation, there's things that I can say that I saw, and Julia will probably just collapse laughing, because what I saw, I was like, it's one of those things, once you see it, you find it hard to forget it. It's like, get out of my head. But I would like to say to her, this is what I saw, just to check that what I saw was right. It's like, oh. But it would be fun. It would be a whole heap of fun. But yeah.
Well, I tell you that whole, and it's amazing what's coming out now about this whole Epstein thing, because as I said before, she was the one that was actually saying, and I had not heard it before, not before she was speaking about it, but that there was a lot of labs and things under Epstein Island as well. Yeah. And she actually remembers having stuff done on her by men in white coats, literally. And she spoke about, but she's related, if you look at her bloodline, very strong possibility that her grandfather or great-grandfather is Edward.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. So she's got that bloodline. So no doubt they would have found her.
Harvested. Yeah, they would have harvested for sure. She's very valuable, very valuable, especially if she's part of that bloodline. And anyone, even those that are sort of on the periphery, where you've got, not sort of to say that it's bastardization of the bloodline, but somebody did something naughty somewhere to create somebody that's not direct lineage. And they're always out there scooping, and the Fitzgerald and those names that are Fitzgerald or have got Fitz in them is very old, ancient bloodlines where one of the kings or one of the princes had gone and had his jollies and created another soul somewhere. The Fitzgerald and the Fitz name, they ended up giving them the Fitz names. So you can see those that were illegitimately created. And they're able to normally trace where it is. So, but they're very good at cleaning up after themselves. We know this, don't we? But yes, it's a good that she knows about that particular underground. The one that I was talking about before was the one in Mexico, because the one in Mexico.
She's also been there. She spoke
there's
about
one
that.
there too. Yeah,
Mexico. She spent time in that place in Mexico as well.
The horrible one with all the small windows and everything. I mean, you couldn't get a person through those windows. That's how small they were. And then
she literally took photographs. Talking about, we were speaking about the disposable cameras. She spoke about finding there was a whole lot of disposable cameras in the kitchen, apparently, and she managed to get one. And on the shows we've done, you see there she's taking pictures of, of the island and stuff. So very interesting.
So glad she
Anyway,
survived.
yeah, gosh, but man, what a crazy, crazy time. And of course, now suddenly this whole Epstein being debunked. But hey, I still think, I mean, we know that it's not final there, right? There's far from finality there. There's a lot still going to come out there. But we know it's not about Epstein and one or two people, it's the entire system, the entire everybody at the top that is obviously involved in this. Because as you go down this rabbit hole, it takes you into a million others. So you got to go down there more because all of them are hiding in there, right? They're all hiding in there, like all bunnies.
Yeah, lots of little bunnies. Yeah, but the interesting thing was when I was looking at the Epstein energy, he was very odd. He was also, there was a lot of the anger and the popping of the energy was very angry, but also almost like there was a schism where it sort of opened up in the middle, and the energies where I saw different energies coming through. So I think that there's going to be a lot of different testimonies that are going to come out that we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen that. And there's lots in direct details where people are going to be able to literally dish the dirt on the JE individual. And a lot of the background information, that's what's going to be coming out. And that I think we're going to find extremely interesting, because when I took, because we'd done Andrew before, Mountbatten, we'd done him before, and I took the two, went over and I was working on it over the weekend, and I put the two and I put them next to each other. And what was very interesting is that level of disdain between the JE person and the Andrew Mountbatten Windsor person, those two energies, that was interesting. It's almost like two spiders that are fighting against each other, because I think that whether we like it or not, I think that JE had thought that that Andrew was particularly different, and that the energy of him was like a spider, and he felt that he had to almost like find a way to defend himself. That's why it's like two spiders. That's what the energy looks like, is for two spiders. But unfortunately, JE felt that he was intimidated by Andrew, and he felt that he should watch his back, which is something I don't think that's ever been said before. But that's what his energy says, that he wasn't scared of Andrew, but out of all the people that he was blackmailing and causing all sorts of nonsense for, the Andrew energy was the two spiders. And the Andrew energy was one person that JE was actually scared of. Unusual. That's why he ordered the hit on him. And also that was one person that was more of a person that was finding ways to be very different in the bedroom, and very different with his interactions with females, and that became extremely obvious. So not the greatest.
Carry on, sorry.
It's not the greatest energy. It's actually a horrible energy. It's somebody that has a level of debauchery and has a very strange, I mean, there are things, I mean, people have things that they like, and they have, like feet fetishes and sucking toes and things. That's all. When you look at the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like the most depraved, debauched activity, his was sitting at a 9.5.
Are you talking about Andrew now?
Andrew. I'm talking about Andrew. And
right.
That's why.
Just making sure.
That's why JE was like, "Oh, sherbet," and that's why I kept seeing these energies doing this. And I thought, hang on a minute, why is somebody like JE, who's just a civilian and just, member of the public, I mean, he wasn't knighted or anything, wasn't royalty, why was he so afraid of Andrew? Why was he sort of going, uh-oh, and why was he placating him? That's what the energy is. Oh, no, it's fine, we'll do this, we'll do that. Yes, okay. Why was he doing that? Why was that energy like that? And then I delved in deep. I thought, oh my goodness me. Now I can see why. Because Andrew had that energy around him where it was literally off the scales, off the charts. So that'll answer that question.
Twee Bobbejaan Spinnekop, ja.
Yeah, that's but
Dis
but
meer
which
as
one is
Bobbejaan Spinnekop daar,
Bobbejaan
hoor.
Spinnekop? Yeah, exactly.
Dis meer as Bobbejaan Spinnekop daar.
Yeah, that's it. And who's the Spinnekop? Who's the spider Spinnekop? And who's the Bobbejaan? Who's the monkey? Yeah, it was a good one. I thought,
Albei van
okay.
hulle. Dis albei van hulle.
Yeah,
Do you wanna see the images? Shall I put them up?
so let's start. Well, this one was, as you can see, it's like, oh, it's an oh my goodness moment. But if you have a look at the head, obviously we couldn't use the proper picture of JE, because every time I tried to do it, it says this is a person that is living. You can't do it. So I just chose a picture of something that was close-ish to what it was. But if you have a look at the background, can you see that there is the Ghislaine Maxwell hairstyle, the black hair? Now that is very interesting, because energies of her and him, because he is past, the two are together. So the other images that I was working from before show that they were together by two separate bodies or two separate individuals, whereas now, because of where we're at in 25, he is impressing some of his energies on her from spirit, because I don't think there's a lot of that energy that has come out. So the two are pushing together, where he's trying to make sure that she is seen in a different light, and he's trying to walk with her, as it were. Then when you have a look at the other images around the edges, where it's all being compressed, where the toroidal field, yes, it's there, that's the blue, that's holding it in. So that's your Merkaba, that's your toroidal field, that's holding everything in. But generally, he did have a lot of images and around him, which I looked at and I thought, why did he have so many female energies that had been connected to him? And when I looked at it, honestly, there was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of young, innocent girls. And I mean hundreds. I managed to get a few into the toroidal field. So he crossed paths with thousands and thousands of young girls. And he actually, that energy that was with him, destroyed and intimidated and was the direct cause of a lot of problems for these young people, these young girls. And that was part and parcel of what was in his field. And those energies were there, those soul contracts. They had chosen to, you can't believe that people actually would choose to have this level of lesson, but unfortunately they did. And he was the one that was almost like the person that would put a seal or a stamp on their soul, but that he was also the person that had agreed to be the protagonist, the person that would cause level of injury and would cause this. And that's why you can, if you have a look, you'll see the pictures of all these beautiful, beautiful young girls all the way around his energy body, where he had chosen and agreed to be the evildoer, which is very different. It's a different type of energy. He had chosen, yes, I will do this. Yes, I will enter their soul path. Yes, I will be the one that will cause this emotional, physical, and auric or spiritual damage to these individuals. So he chose to be that awful individual that would do these things to these young girls. And that's why we see them in the aura. This was part of his path. Part of his path was to be the evil doer. And there you see all those pictures of the lovely girls. Then we also see at the back of him, we see these the torsos of the men. These are the men that he directly influenced and directly pulled into his web as a dark spider. He was the one who then was directly working with authorities pretty much all over the world. And he was able to feed and provide information and intelligence on that smaller circle. So if you look at the image, the first one around the edges of the egg shape, that's the young girls. Then you get the inner circle, which is the men. And some of them are even women. There's one or two. There's only 2 or 3 women there. And that's why they're grayed out, because they are the ones that were all part of the overall plan, where he was feeding via Maxwell and others. He was feeding intelligence off to individuals about this group, this very light gray group of individuals that are around his body, the second layer, if you like. So he was playing his role in feeding intelligence, feeding information, feeding images, finding out information about this very, very strong group of men. I think that is going to come out, even though, as you can see, there's that very large section where it's closed in. I don't think that it will be long before that blue energy on the outer rim, that blue energy is removed and that the truth comes out, because we've got that light. If you have a look in the middle, you have a very strong light that is coming out from the middle. Now, this is actually a universal light that's pushing in through the back of his energy, and it's starting to move out, and you can see that it's very bright, and it's going to push him right forward, which means that all his doings light is going to be shone. And eventually what I will see is where he's got his body, that light is going to push out so strongly that whatever was going on is going to become known. It's going to take a while, I reckon. Looking at where it is now, I mean, what are we, 2025? I reckon it's going to take at least 5 years before that bright light has consumed all of the area and pushed out. Everything that needs to be known is going to be pushed out by 2030. So let's remember that light is not coming from the JE person. That light is a universal light. That is a light from great creator, from source, to say, he needs to be shown what he was doing, how he was doing it. The truth has to come out. And that is a huge part of what's happening in the future. You know, he's given himself permission. When he was alive, he gave himself permission to contribute. He gave himself position to use his body as a vehicle so that he could shed light on aspects, and he gave himself permission to be the villain, because he is. And this is what he allowed himself to do. And he participated in it, and he loved participating in it. He absolutely did. So he didn't take a time out. You know, he had that abundance mindset where he just, he wanted more, but it wasn't money. It was power first, then money. So we've got also, if you have a look at these, I could only think of them as like these tendrils of octopus type, and that's very similar to what Ghislaine Maxwell has in her throat energy, is around the throat and around the shoulders, and all of that is pushing out and finding these youngsters and seeing whatever was being presented to him, taking that, moving that energy and pulling that energy back. So that was very much part of his way, is using the throat chakra and using that energy to say, right, this is how I am going to attach myself, and this is how I'm going to move into these young people's lives And that is how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to utilize that energy in such a way that it looks like the best sort of image representation that I could think of is almost like those tentacles that are going out and connecting with these young souls, these virginal young ladies, so that he almost destroys them before they even get a chance to become young women. So that's part of that. Where you see the black dots and the black areas all over his energy body, and then you see we've had the orbs before, these dark orbs that are here, there, and everywhere, and there's lots of them there. They're ones that come as clusters that stick together. There are those that are just orbs and move around. There is a lot of them. And this is part of where he was pulling in those energies. And because he was almost like destined to be a villain, and he had agreed in his soul path and his soul contract to become a villain, eventually this darkness comes in because he had a lot of attachments. He had a lot of the basal attachments. So those that are demonic type of energies that are pushed forward by darkness, pushed forward by the red basal activity. And although he wasn't fearful, there were some people that he was in a fearful state about. But he never felt things like gratitude. He never was focused on anything specific good, because his ego energy was huge, absolutely huge. And he was very passionate. Yeah.
That whole narcissistic, I mean, you can see, he completely ran away with himself here.
Oh, yeah.
You can see there's there's no control. This person has had to absolutely experience, or has never taught himself or herself, if I had to just read this energy, self-control. There's no saying no to him, because that desire, as you say, for control is so great, right? So he would have put himself in a powerful position very, very early in life.
Yeah.
So that he didn't have to feel out of control. But there again, when I look at that, I would definitely also say that for sure, all sorts of abuses occurred there. And that's the below the belly button energy you were talking about earlier on, I think. Look at his legs. I mean, it's just, wow. There's just nothing happening in there, right? Nothing happening.
Just awful.
Yeah. So stagnant and so stuck in that loop.
In that cycle. Yeah, he was in that cycle. He could not, and that's why he's got those horrible dark energies around the legs. He can't actually move forward, and he wasn't prepared to move forward. And then that's that awful belly button stuff that I was talking about earlier. And this is like, this is the boiled egg brigade underneath there. I mean, it's just, it not only is it smelly, but it was small and very much, I mean, really, honestly, I will never look at a boiled egg the same way ever again, because that is exactly what it looked like. The only difference was it was a bit like a pork sausage. So if you can imagine a chipolata mixed a chipolata mixed with a boiled egg. Oh, agony on.
How funny. Chipolata, yeah. Chipolata is the right word.
I mean, I don't like sausages at the best of times, but that just, I was like, take this image out of my head, please. I don't want to see it.
Okay, so it's safe to say then you actually never met Epstein, is that right?
No, thank goodness. I never did.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I would have got the khrillies if my skin would have crawled if I'd met
him.
Did
you ever hear about him though when you were moving around in the royal circles? Was he?
He wasn't really discussed that much, but the ones that were I had heard of when I was stuck in that nonsense was more of the Savile and a couple of others that were very busy on the circuit at that time, that were prolific and that were doing all sorts of things. That I was more afraid of those than him. Luckily, for those of us that were in the different countries, the JE person was in another country, across the pond. He was there. He wasn't really doing very much. He wasn't a focus of individuals. The focus of individuals was royalty and Savile and the Rolf Harrises, and there's a whole bunch of others. Some of them are still living, so I can't mention them. But you just have to look at who was around Savile, who was around Rolfie, old Rolf Harris, and you will see the same energies, the same faces, because they were all predators and they all were hunting in the same circles. I would imagine at some point maybe the JE person might have been around there, but I think that he didn't hunt this side of the world. I think he was one of these types that he would get the energies of his prey to come to him. Very lazy, very, very lazy, very lazy. That's why he used to push Maxwell to go out and be the fixer finder. That's her position. Very lazy. He would expect whatever he wanted to be brought to him. Same as royalty, actually. They do the same thing. They expect.
Like what I was saying, you could see. I mean, he was not gonna. He was a great. He control power was very important to him, so that he didn't have to do anything himself.
Yeah.
So that he could be this. Yes. Yeah, and obviously, but just being seriously connected as well, so that was the biggest thing for him.
Yeah,
anyway,
but as the one that was going to be the perpetrator, I mean, that is where he was. His needs were the only needs that mattered. Here's what he needed. He communicated that, and he was not afraid at all to communicate the I want, and he was very good in schooling the Maxwell energy to say, this is what I want, this is who I am, like it or lump it, you're going to have to give me what I want. So, it was his desires, what he wanted, his beliefs, and the needs of others didn't matter. He wasn't worried about the needs of others, including the Ghislaine Maxwell. She did buy into that. She bought into treating him like royalty, treating him like he was the only one that mattered. And at some point, she did fall for him. At some point, she did love him. And in order to feel safe and in order to feel, wanted, and in order to feel that, she was a person that was seen as being intelligent and, as a sexy person and, all these things that she was desperate for the JE person to see her as, she was doing whatever he wanted because she needed to feel wanted. She needed to feel that at least he was seeing her as valuable and a person that was able to give to him what he needed. It's a very, very difficult symbiotic relationship of parasite and a feeder of the parasite. That's what those two are.
Yeah, I would have thought that it did strike me that it was that type of relationship, that she kind of bowed down to him. But, he kind of got away literally with murder with the, that's what I think. Should we look at her?
Yes, we can look at her. And I mean, it is, once again, we see that there's a similar likeness. Now, if you have a look at the JE plate, that image, you had also these men, and the men pitched up in her auric field and her energy field as well, because they are quaking in their boots. This is a unique path, and for her, It's a level of significant power. And that's why you see this wiggly snake energy, is that, you know, she is looking at herself as, what risks can she take with the circle of men that she's got around her? What risks that she can take? What can she do? Where can she make a decision that she can move forward so that she can manipulate the situation with all of these men that they know, that she knows, that there is a lot of evidence around each and every one of them. There are 3 females as well, because you'll see I've put specifically 3 females in those of faces. And there are 3 females. One is already passed away, but there are 2 that still remain, that are walking on this earth. This is all where she will be able to forge a new path. And this means that with this blue energy swirling around her that you can see, there is a plot that thickens. There is an energy where she's going to try to maneuver herself, claiming that she's going to be brave and she's going to make all these changes. But she is going to be asked to testify before the House Oversight Committee. And I know she's going to plead the Fifth Amendment, but that she is going to come forward with some very careful letters, and she's going to write things about herself where she says that she feels better. She feels that she's now a new person. So expect to see some writings from her at some point where she's feeling that she's becoming a better person. And I think you'll find that she might even be granted to have a dog or a puppy or something. She's going to get a lot of extra benefits. And I think what they're doing is they're buttering her up. They're trying to get her to feel better about herself, so that by giving her the so-called VIP treatment, that maybe she will let slip on a few items. This is all a ploy for her. She's got a very strong heart, and she knows what her purpose is. She knows that the moment she lets out any information, that her power base is going to be gone. She knows that. So, but she's now going to use that so that she can just be treated like royalty. She can be treated, you know, she can be given, literally be waited on hand and foot like a celebrity, like a member of the royal family. And the only reason they're doing that is because she can have everything her way, in the hope that she's able to come forward with some of the information. Not all of it, but some of it. This lady is very, very clever. You know, she is not going to release, and she won't be one of these whistleblower type people that says, well, this is what happened and this is what it is. She's not quite ready yet. If you look at the image, we can see that the focus is growing on her, and she is going to be able to take all these swooshing energies that we see at the back of her aura, where we've got like the star-like aspects and those blue swirls that are coming in. It's like almost like a bird coming into land, where we see that energy hasn't got there yet, because she won't want to apologize, because she will never apologize. She will always withhold energy. She'll always withhold information. But that is with these pictures of these, the top pictures of the men and the 2 women, all of that knows she is withholding. And as long as she's withholding, and she doesn't feel yet that her energy is at a point where she has permission to speak, because her courage is not there yet, but it will get there. It's when you see this now starting to build. We've also, with hers, we've also got this very bright starlight coming from behind her. Now, this is the 3-eye Atlas energy. This is the energy that's coming from all of the meteorites and all of the celestial bodies. There's 17 of them that will be following the 3-eye atlas, they will all bring light. They will all shine light. They will all allow the focus to shift. So this is starting with her, and eventually that light will be so bright that she won't be able to push against it. She will feel that breath. She will feel her heart quicken, and it will start keeping her up at night. Whereas at the moment now, she's not being kept up at night. She's being treated like a princess in prison. And in fact, she is the princess of the prison. And she will start looking at, how can I, the Maxwell princess, create a purpose out of the pain that I've caused and out of my own pain, because I wasn't able to get away with it for the rest of my life. She hasn't got to that point yet. Very cringeworthy, very cringeworthy. But she will have to make choices that will no longer let her move past what she's done.
Okay, so she, just to wrap it up then, obviously she is a willing participant with Epstein, and probably quite a instigator as well, with things I can imagine. The two of them would have probably lit each other up quite a bit, right? When they were on a roll. So she's currently in prison.
Yep.
He has a lot of information, treated like a princess.
Yes.
Not ready to talk yet. Her needs are quite being pandered to, because no one really knows what, well, I wouldn't say no one, but there are those that don't really know what she's going to say. I'm sure those in the know what she knows.
Yes.
But I guess it's a matter of, what is she going to say? So that's a very interesting thing for me, because she holds a lot of power, this woman.
Yeah.
She holds a lot of power, right? Because she really, I mean, if you think about it, Beverli, right now, her information is what's standing between the world knowing and toppling the cabal.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, that information she holds will topple everyone.
Yeah.
And they can't have that. Why is Trump not following through with this? I want to know what Trump's agenda is by not following through. We're hearing a whole lot of different types of information. First, okay, he's involved with the Epstein files. I mean, that's the obvious thing that everyone is saying. Then they're saying, okay, well, he doesn't want to release the information now. The time is not right, and it's fake information, blah, blah, blah. What is going on there from what you see?
I haven't looked at Trump. I've steered away from the Trump energy because of the level of discord and undertones and things. I haven't been able to go in and have a look at him specifically. So at some point I will be looking at him. But I do think that the Ghislaine Maxwell energy, because she is so disgraced, and luckily she was moved from the Florida prison to the other maximum security in Texas. This is the start of, I keep getting, every time I tune into her, is all these men around her. I keep getting this, the lies, the pain, the shame, the criticism, but that image is still saying, is got this burn baby burn type of thing. And that's where she's coming from. She is going to challenge being in prison. She's going to challenge where she is. I mean, she's only been there for 3 years. You know, she was put in what, 2022? And we're only sitting at 2025 now. So she's only had a few years of it, but she's not as bad as everybody thinks she is. She's having a really good time. I mean, they feed her, you know, bespoke meals. They treat her like, I call her the prison princess. And I've actually saved her images on my hard drive as the prison princess Maxwell, because that's what she is. But she's not free. She's not free yet. But I keep seeing that her soul is calling for burn, baby, burn. That's what worries me, is that she is so disgraced. She is the one who's going to pen these letters to all sorts of people saying all sorts of things. And she will be able to, you know, sneak out these types of letters to these people, the men that are around her. She's going to be able to sneak them out and cause all sorts of ruckus out there. So it's for her specifically. She is the one who's making the choices, and that's why everybody is giving into her, because they know that single-handedly, and this is in all truth, every single one of those men that are around her in that energy, every single one of them, she has the power within her to bring down various governments and to cause all sorts of nonsense. That's why the burn, baby, burn keeps coming up from the prison princess. Those are the key
Why
things.
does that bother you, though? I mean, because I would imagine the burn, baby, burn is like, I'm naming names. I'm tired of taking the brunt for everyone, I would imagine, and now I'm naming names. I would imagine that's what that energy is. Why are you saying you worry about it, or am I wrong?
I'm worrying about it because with the burn, baby, burn energy, it is that snake that we see coming through from her heart, and that is that she does not care who is blamed or who has finished their lesson or hasn't finished their lesson. She doesn't care, because if she does release names, she basically is putting she's putting a name for someone to be taken out, because there is no way that the powers that be could allow that list, if you like. So we call it a list. There's no way that list can come out, because they will not, i.e. they, cabal, or those above that, will allow those people to take responsibility. They will make sure that they meet their maker before they do that. That means
That's
that
what
those
I'm
people
saying.
be taken out.
That's what I'm saying. You know, right now, she's probably the most powerful woman on earth. Think about it.
Yeah, she is.
Because of the control she wields over these people. So I would definitely say that. And no doubt she's been given royal treatment in the prison because no one really wants to piss her off, do they?
Absolutely
Because,
not. No, because
I mean,
people will pass away. People will be taken out. The moment she says poof out of her mouth, the throat chakra, that energy, the moment she says so and so and so and so and so and so, that's it. There's a contract out on that person. So that means wherever that person is, bye-bye, Louis, you're out of here.
But isn't that kind of how the cabal works anyway? It's like you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So they should really take their own out. It saves our court systems the money. That's what I'm thinking. My point is if she names names, let them sort themselves out. Without us having to go down that stinky path and let them do it themselves. That's my point here. Because there's no ways that she's only got one or two names. There is no ways, because when that woman starts speaking, and I'm surprised she's still around. Why is she still around, actually? I mean, not that I'm saying she shouldn't be. I mean, I don't have an opinion on that, actually. If she's here, she's meant to be here. But I'm interested how they've allowed her to literally still be around, because at every opportunity she could spill the tea. I don't know. To me, do you not think she has some blackmail material that if anything happens to her, boom, so and so is going to open a little black box that I've left at a certain place?
She does have, she has insurance. Yeah. She does. But there's another two images that I sent. When I started looking at her, I realized she's got pockets. She's got the pockets. She's got these pockets of energies. Now, this is a slightly different one, because I was looking at this one. I was looking at what is the energy? How does that swirl around her? And when you see, you've got all these pockets. So when we look at the image, if you see there are these round ball energies. Now, those are the pockets of information, intelligence. That's what she's got. So she really can dish the dirt on loads of people, but also organizations. It's not just physical, organic body people. It is organizations, and it goes into a very, very dark red, which, yes, that's the basal energies, but the basal energies, particularly the darker reds, that is the sort of the organic, lustful type of energies. But then we also have the intelligence ones, where it's financial, emotional, and where there's people that are pitting their clever clogs attitude against others. So this is, I asked particularly to show me why she has been pretty much left alone. And this is why. So all of these clogs and cogs are moving, where there's intelligence, where there's companies. And as you can see by the image, everything is interwoven with something else. And that is directly attached to where it's coming out of, which is her solar plexus area, and all of those moving up her spine. She, unfortunately, is one of the few women in the world that was placed in a position not only of power, but also carnal pleasures power, as well as mental. So she's got that energy where you see that the blues and the shiny bits. She was a clever cookie, and she did make sure that she could dish the tea on so many organizations, companies, places, people that are running places, other royalty, particularly places up in, all of the Saudi Arabian areas. She's got all of that. That's the answer there, is every single one of those orb ball things holds about a company, an organization, or a person that runs a company. And in some cases, the bigger ones at the top are countries, absolute countries, people that are in power, that are running countries, or are part of, the political environment. So you have all of that energy. She sits with it. And her insurance, which is the one in the middle, where you've got that big energy ball around her that's protecting her, she has significant insurance that if something happened to her, and she has already told every single one of these orbs that are around her, every single person that's in each of those orbs around her has been told, something happens to me, this is what I've got on you, and that's what's going out. That's why she's still perfectly fine and taking the position of the prison princess.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, there's a reason they've not taken her out. That's obvious.
Yeah.
And it would make the only reason they wouldn't have taken her out is because she has insurance policies. I've watched enough mafia movies to know how it works.
Yeah. Very dangerous.
So, yeah, makes sense. So,
it's difficult. Yeah. But she's going to wake up. She's going to start realizing, at some point, it's not now. I've seen that there's just a tiny, tiny smidgen of energy coming to her, where she's thinking, well, actually, the way that I am now and what I've got is not sustainable. And it's not. It's not sustainable. And that's what the next image is where you can see in her mind, that energy is starting to get to her. She's starting to realize, oh, Sherbet, I need to plan. I'm telling myself that I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm telling myself my own lies. Yes, I'm going to be safe. Yes, I've got my insurance. Yes, I can do whatever. But it's her own heart and her soul now that she's got to tell her soul the truth. So it's starting. You can see there in her mind, and she's starting with her third eye right through in her energy, slowly, slowly, slowly. And that's why with her, she will change her mind, but it's going to take, I think, this energy for her to grow and realize that what is true needs to be possible, and what is true needs to come out from her energy. It's going to take at least until 2030 for everything to come out. It's not going to come out that quickly. It's starting, but it's not ready yet.
It's interesting what you say, is that she's like starting to plan,
Yeah.
about where her, maybe getting a little bit of a prick of a conscience here, right? But I'm not even sure that that's what it is. Because to me, it would seem that around her, things are changing.
Yeah.
So it almost feels like she does not know how much power she wields anymore. Actually, that's the sense I get, right? She doesn't know with so much shifting going on around her in the power base. She's had a lot of information on very powerful people, but it would seem to me she doesn't know if that information holds as much punch as what it did before. What do you
True.
think about that?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think she has a different energy now. She's looking at, well, what are the flaws here? How much of that do I have? Now we're talking it's only 3 years since she's been in the Chuki. So it's not that long. But, data, information, evidence has a lifespan. And already, as you say, that it's not as powerful as it would have been if she'd actually played some of her cards when she first went in, right up until, let's say, the end of 2023. That energy of what she had would have been a lot stronger than what it is now. The longer she leaves it, the less that shift would be. And then
Oh
she's
my
going to have
gosh.
to think.
But don't you think that could be what's happening here, actually? Don't you think that, in fact, their manipulation is to put her in a fancy prison, treat her like Princess Ghislaine Maxwell, treat her like the princess of the prison? Meanwhile, the power base around her is shifting.
Yeah.
So, in that way, they actually disarm her, so that she's actually being disarmed right now because she's out of touch with a lot of what's going on. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think they have definitely tried. They've managed to find a way that any backlash is there, whatever backlash there is has been rejected, and that in that zone that she's in, they're giving her what she kind of wants because they're dumbing down everything. The longer she's in, the less the so-called client list and all that she knows about, because it's not just about the client list,
Exactly.
it's about
Yeah,
everybody else as well.
exactly. It's the whole power
Exactly.
base shifting. And it's
Yeah.
almost like they are making these moves deliberately. That's just what I got strongly now. They're deliberately putting her and treating her like a little princess that she is, while the power base around her shifts. So the information she has is not as potent as what it was 3 or 4 years ago, right? And when she comes out, or I mean, who knows if they'll even let her out?
Yeah. And that's
Because
what it's
really,
going to be. Yeah.
do you think they're going to let her out though?
I think that from what I could see with some of those energies around her, there is some sort of deal, or they are going to bring in some super high flying, very expensive person at some point that will be able to make some sort of a deal somewhere. But she will have to give something in order to be able to either look at some form of change or some sort of parole or something. That's
Wow.
where it's going. But it will have to be, she's going to have to do it quickly. And this is what something I don't think she's
Yeah.
aware of. She's going to have to do
Yeah.
it super fast, super quick, because the longer she's in, the less valuable
That's
what she has to say.
exactly. That's exactly the reason they're keeping her there, because everything around her is moving and shifting, so that her information is not as deadly as what it once would have been. They're going to play games with her for a while. They definitely are.
Yeah.
They're going to
And
play games with her for a
when you
while.
see there's this little cherry on a stick that's going in front of her, where I think a lot of the energies
Mm.
are going to be like, well, what could she want the most? What would be something that she would really, really want? And I think what she would want is the same as JE. JE had I don't know what they call it. It's like a prison release or whatever, where they're still serving their time, but that they sleep in the jail, but are allowed out during the day. But I think that that's very difficult because she is still seen as a dangerous offender. She is still seen as the one who is the one that used to go and find the young girls and then bring them to JE. That's still, it's stamped on her very soul. So that is still very much part of her issue. And, she did have 20 years. She was given 20 years to be served in a federal prison. So they're going to have some very, very fancy footwork to be able to find a way to get her to a point where, she's allowed to sleep at home, or she's allowed to be out, but be out during the day, but then always make sure that she was returning back to the prison. So it depends what she's prepared to give. And I think she's going to have to, she's enjoying the VIP treatment.
Well, I think that, when you were saying about things starting to move and shift a little bit for her, I think she's actually starting to cotton on to what's going on. And it's probably her getting a little bit worried about her future, because I don't think that's what I feel. For me, that's a clear feeling of uncertainty around what's happening around her right now, that she doesn't know, and she doesn't know. Right now, as we speak, she probably still is the most powerful woman in the world, purely because of the information she holds and the people that she can take down with that information, right? Mm-hmm. But still, she's always, that information is always going to be valuable. But, how valuable is it really when most of the people are dead in 10 or 15 years' time that are on there, right? So They cover themselves well. It serves no purpose really to talk about them once they're dead and gone. Like, hello, there's you're still taking care of the perpetrator. The perpetrator is still getting away with these disgusting crimes against children and humanity. Yeah. So they take care of themselves like that. And that's what's got to end. You know what I'm saying? So from this perspective, I think, I don't know, there's a lot right now in terms of this. There's a lot of shifting going on. She definitely is, in my opinion, still the most powerful woman. But they're treating her like a princess, because as long as they treat her well and give her that carrot in front of the nose, she's not going to pull the plug. But she's also getting antsy. And that's the thing. Yeah,
I think she's getting, and that's why I wanted to show this energy, because I asked her energy body, what is it that you want right now? What is it that you can't hold back any longer? And the one thing she says, I'm tired of hiding. And I thought, oh, okay. And and I thought, right. So I know that she is getting really peed off, where people are saying things and they're saying it from a base of unknowing. They don't know. So I'm thinking that, because I said to her energy body, I said, well, you're tired of hiding, then allow yourself to be socially acceptable. Allow yourself to be authentic. It means come out of the shadows, step out of the shadows, allow yourself to be seen. And you could see she was like looking at herself and thinking, would I actually be happy with the energy that I'm at the moment? No, not actually. So she is going to reveal herself, her life, how she is, what she feels. And I think she's going to start revealing and publishing, or sending it wherever you send things. If you're in prison, I don't know how it works, but sending personal and private things, like the emails that she had between certain people, the emails that she's got where she was talking to JE, where she was talking to that circle of businessmen, royalty, others. I think that by doing that, she will give people that glimpse of her as an authentic being, because she is, by the nature of her energy, she is tired of hiding. Big key thing here.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. And, and especially when you think of her nature, her personality, when she's been also used to being queen bee in her little domain, like really one of the girls that everyone knows who she is and she's super well connected, etc. And even though, she's in prison or in jail rather, she needs attention. That's the thing. This girl needs attention. Yeah. She absolutely thrives on attention. So it's almost like the lack of attention is the thing that is most lacking, because that attention has been the thing that's been feeding her. And when there's no attention that's feeding her anymore, she's got to find other ways of being relevant and remaining relevant in society, even if she is in prison, jail rather. Because recently, remember, she's been moved and a big furore around that and what she's getting there. And now a big, being treated like the princess. She needs to be relevant all the time. That's the problem. That's what I see. She's like a black widow. She extracts from you all the time. Exactly. Die Spinnekop, right?
Yeah.
And
like the other
two. Right.
And when you see the image, that's it. She doesn't have it, so she's going to go and find it. So I think that, with the fact that she said nothing much about the survivors, she hasn't really, when you look back at what she said, she hasn't really said anything openly. She hasn't revealed anything openly about the survivors. She hasn't really commented or said too much about that. So I think in a way that's like the fact that she's just distanced herself from it and not done much. That's a bit of a slap in the face to the survivors. So I think that she knows that she is the one that helped and was supportive of destroying so many lives. But I think this aspect of her being moved to what they call a country club prison, which is where she is now. I mean, because the Tallahassee prison in Florida was just awful. But then I think she knows that there's this dangling reward that she needs to go for, which will make her relevant again, which will give her the attention that she loves. She loves that attention. But I think for the first time, she's going to move towards placating the survivors.
Well, we must never, ever forget, in life, we never, ever, ever get away with anything.
No, of course not.
What you consume will consume you. And everything you've stolen from another, whether you've stolen their blood, their energy, whether you've used them as a battery, whether you've stolen their souls or whatever, because these people in the dark arts do disgusting things. All they do is steal. And it makes them because they're vampires. They're vampires of many different genres, right? So, I mean, and it's everything, because if you drink in blood, you're a vampire. If you are taking the blood of an animal, you're a vampire. If you're taking the blood of another human, you're a vampire. If you're sucking off someone else's energy, you're a vampire. If you're stealing from others, you're a vampire. Okay? You're a vamp. Face facts, which means you cannot sustain your own life force without that force of another. And that is a fundamental law. That is a fundamental crime against your creator, against God. So when you have done stuff like that in your life, steal, take, consume, blah, without, and I mean, I actually spoke, it's like we talk about the dark nest, right? When you steal energy instead of sharing and giving, what happens now at these times, and especially these times, Beverli, where the energy is what it is, that energy is going to turn on you. Everything, all your unhealed stuff, the stuff you've stolen, you've taken, you've not actually rectified in your life, in your resonance, is now going to turn on you. That's what happens. What you consume now consumes you. So
Exactly.
we have to be able to look at where we've gone wrong, where we've screwed up in life. All of us have screwed up, right? Make it right first within yourself, between you and your creator, and then the person or the people that you've wronged. You have to be able to do that. You have to. That's what the Christians call repentance, right? You repent, but now you've got to make right the wrongs. Doesn't mean you can undo the past. No, you can't ever undo the past, but you've got to acknowledge it. You've got to speak to the people. You've got to go there. You've got to apologize. You've got to do whatever it is necessary for you to actually move forward and realize what karma is. Karma is not some weird new age philosophy. It really is cause and effect. Whatever you've put out there, it comes back to you. It's not God punishing you. It's not the devil coming for you. It's your own demons that are eating you up in your own mind. That's what karma is. So at the end of the day, I really hope that these people make it right. This is the time of reckoning for all of us. It is a time of reckoning. You've got to make it right with your own spirit, with God. You and God need to be okay. And when you're okay with that, your creator gives you inspirations on how to fix up the things you need to fix. You're given opportunities to do that. It's up to you to take them, though. And if you continue to deny to right your wrongs, you continue to spiral down into hell or the dark nest. So, yeah. The only way we're going to be able to disclose and discern truth is when we ourselves understand that. Otherwise, we're always going to be listening to the fear mongers out there telling us about all the bad things that are happening in life. And, oh, we've got to run and hide. And you don't have to run and hide. You do not have to run and freaking hide. If you think you got to run and hide, then I'm afraid you're still in fear. And you haven't understood that you hold the power of love, which is the most powerful energy that there is. It will elevate you out of every situation. And that's the crazy part.
Exactly.
When you're in alignment. Yeah.
Name all the things that you love in life and make sure that you are on that list. Make sure you're even the top of that list. And how many people can say, well, when you ask them, name all the things that you love in life. There's so many people I do this test to, and I say, name all the things that you love, and immediately they'll go into, their husband or their wife or their children and the dog and the cat and everything. And I said, hang on a minute, where in that list is yourself? And it's like, oh no, I don't love myself. They're okay, right? That's where we've got to start working.
People have such a warped idea of self-love. It's like you're not allowed to love yourself because then you're an egomaniac and then you are serving Satan. What a load of hogwash. Unless you understand from that moment of clarity, I am created in the image of God, which means that the beauty I have within me is on a par with God. How dare I sell myself short? How dare I call myself insignificant, stupid, fat, hideous, whatever? How dare I? And when we realize that, we then start having this symbiotic relationship with our creator. And then Creator God inspires you from within. And when you have that inspiration, you're going to meet people who match that. And you're going to go, oh, that's a God wink. Oh, that's a God wink. You don't require that people tell you what to do or how to do it. Or there's alien spaceships coming and you must run. Bullshit. Even if they do come, when you in that place of love, inspired love and inspired action, you're not going to meet those troubles. I promise you, you're not. Those troubles happen to those around you, maybe, who haven't learned to expand and elevate their consciousness yet. This is the consciousness thing. It's a frequency war. It's not done through chopping off the demons' heads. Why has that not worked yet? If that worked, there would not be a single demon left in hell. There's more now than ever before. Why? Why? Let's ask ourselves that. It's because we don't understand how energy works. What you resist persists.
Will persist. Absolutely. Yeah.
When you decide that you are more powerful, not because I'm powerful and I'm bigger, I'm going to F you up. No, that's satanic. Okay? You want to talk satanic? That's satanic. It's a power that comes from doing your shadow work, understanding the power that resides within you, understanding that power is not, it's kindness, it's creativity, it's compassion, it's generosity, it's truth, it's honesty. That's power. And when you vibrate on that level, it's that elevates you. So when these creatures of the night try and come for me, and they do, they take themselves out energetically before they even reach me. If they want to send their hitman after me, the guy will have 4 flat tires before he's even got here.
Good.
He's so frustrated he want to take himself out.
This is it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm kidding. But I'm saying that's what happens when you are operating from a place of love. Nature protects you. Earth protects you. Creation protects you. In other words, God protects you. Invisibly. That's living in love, actually. So we don't need to be chopping heads of anything. And if you do, you're caught up in the vibration of hell. You are still in hell if you think that's what you need to do. And I say that with love in my heart. If you think you've got to go out there and fight monsters, I get why you think that. I really do. But I'm saying that you've probably been taught a little bit wrong. I'm saying you are standing in your own way of elevation. Your heart elevates you, and it's not by a long shot a weakness at all. That's where your power lies. So join us on the Ankara field. Join us over at Solutions with Chanti. We will talk about this a lot more. We're going to be doing a lot of shows relating to that as well. So, and tomorrow night, Beverli, you and I'm not sure yet what we're doing tomorrow night, where we're shining our light, talking about dodgy creatures of the night and people who've done things when they thought no one was looking.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
You know, there's always somebody watching, guys. You think you can be a sniper and hide behind someone and shoot 600 innocent people. No, that does not work. There's always eyes on you. Anyway. Bev, anything you want to say? I think we've probably called it a day for today. Is there anything you still want to say for?
I want to say that, you know, that by doing the work and looking at the Ghislaine Maxwell energy, and what I found very interesting is that, you know, we always hear that there is always time and energy and a space for redemption. And I think just by looking at her energy field and how she's changing and how she's looking at her life differently, I would like everyone to do the shadow work if they can, because if there's areas, even if you think there's areas of your life that are too dark and that you don't believe in redemption, or you don't believe that you're at a space where whatever you've done could be redeemed. Just that tiny little piece of light that's shining. We've seen it in the Ghislaine Maxwell energy. If she's able to redeem herself, then surely you can redeem yourself. So make sure that when you name all the things that you love, please make sure that you are one of them.
You're on the top. You're on the top.
Got to be on the top.
Because without loving yourself, you cannot do God's work. You really can't. I mean, how do you think you're going to do God's work if you do not like and are not happy with the body that God has given you. Your body is the vessel for spirit to express itself. And if your body is full of aches and pains and horrible thoughts and evil agendas and revenge and you are not going to be able to do spiritual work in the capacity that you meant to. Yes, we all have bad days. Yes, we all need to go through moments of transformation and sitting with ourselves and what have you. But we have to do that, and that's how we get ourselves back to resonance. And I want to say as well, you are mentioning all the things that you love, they're important. And I so agree with that. But I want to say as well, it's equally as important to mention the things that are holding you back and creating pain. When you sit with yourself and you realize, I'm actually very manipulative. Me, I'm a manipulator. You've got to be able to acknowledge that in yourself. I'm actually super aggressive. I'm actually not honest. I'm actually, you have to look at these things within yourself, because that's how you start healing. Because only when we look at that within ourselves can we understand why we are attracting that in others. Others are a kaleidoscope in front of you, showing you parts of yourself that you don't always want to see. So this is how we do it. And I think that's so important, Bev, as you say, that we do the shadow work at this time, and that we can transcend our consciousness.
Oh, thanks for the show, Chanti. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I hope the viewers, and I hope in the comments that everybody enjoyed it. Very different way of looking at specific people who've been right in our face for so many years now, since 2021. But I think things are changing. So,
but we have to, part of growth and part of moving onto the new way of being is that our third eye is open. You see, it is our God-given gift to be able to observe beyond the physical realm. That's part of what we've been disconnected from. So when you're disconnected from that, you're not going to have your spiritual gifts operating and firing on all cylinders. And you're not going to be able to see bullshit when it comes your way. This is us reclaiming what is rightfully ours and smelling that bullshit a mile away. And you can. Stinks. It stinks, everybody. It stinks. And we're going to change that. That bullshit is going to become compost for our beautiful gardens.
I love it. Yes, I love it. I love it. And I want to say for everybody listening in America, couple of days, your Thanksgiving will be here, sending blessings to everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has a safe and happy, blessed Thanksgiving in America.
Indeed. And we will see you back tomorrow on Solutions.
Yes,
and we're going to be, as I said, shining some lights on all sorts of other things. And thank you, everybody. Take good care of your beautiful selves. And if you can't be good at it.
What are you like?
It reminds me of being 16 years old. I was like, went back to 1982. 1982, cool. They want their sayings back. Like, bye.